Close your eyes and imagine a vast, silent theater. The seats are filled with thousands of shadows, all watching a single figure standing in a pool of brilliant, golden light. That figure is you. You feel the warmth of the spotlight, the weight of the invisible crown, and the intoxicating certainty that the script of the universe was written specifically for your arrival. Every hardship you have endured, every moment of loneliness, suddenly feels justified. It wasn't just pain, it was a test. It wasn't just isolation, it was a preparation. You are the protagonist, you are the one the world has been waiting for. Now open your eyes and look at the reflection in the mirror of your daily life. The dishes are unwashed, the bills are unpaid, the connections you crave feel distant, and the greatness you feel inside seems to have no bridge to the reality outside. This is the curiosity gap of the soul, the agonizing distance between the archetypal, chosen one we feel ourselves to be and the human being we actually are. This gap is not a mere daydream. It is a fault line in the architecture of your psyche. Carl Jung recognized this phenomenon as a rastro of something much older than our modern identity. He understood that within the collective unconscious, there exists the archetype of the hero, the savior, the chosen. These are not just stories we tell. They are powerful autonomous patterns of energy that live within the human code. However, a grave danger arises when the ego, that small, fragile center of our conscious awareness, begins to believe it is the archetype. In Jungian terms, this is called inflation. It is the moment the candle believes it is the sun. The chosen one narrative acts as a golden key, but often, it is a key that locks us into a cage of our own making. When you identify as the special one, you inadvertently build a wall between yourself and the rest of humanity. Everyone else becomes a background actor, a secondary character in your grand drama. This is the mirage of the heroic ego. It feels like empowerment, but it is actually the beginning of a profound possession. The more you feed the chosen identity, the more the engranage of your true self begins to grind to a halt. You are no longer living your life, you are performing a myth. We see this rastro everywhere today, in the desperate need for digital validation, in the savior complexes that destroy relationships, and in the quiet despair of those who feel they have failed because they have yet changed the world. We are haunted by a sense of destiny that feels like a heavy invisible cloak. But why does the psyche produce this illusion? Why does it feel so necessary to be more than just human? To find the answer, we must descend. We must look past the golden light of the stage and peer into the darkness of the wings, where the shadow waits. Before we proceed into the mechanics of this psychological trap, I invite you to pause. If these words resonate with the secret chamber of your heart, you are not alone. You have found a community of seekers who are tired of the mirage and ready to face the abyss. Join us. Subscribe to this rastro of deep exploration, and let us walk together toward the truth of what we are, beyond the masks of destiny. The dilemma we face is terrifying. If I am not the chosen one, if I am not destined for extraordinary greatness, then who am I? And if I let go of the crown, will I find a life worth living, or only the cold silence of the ordinary? The answer lies deeper in the architecture, where the gears of the shadow and the light meet in a dangerous alchemy. To understand the danger of the chosen one archetype, we must look at the hidden architecture of the psyche's defense mechanisms. In the clinical world of Carl Jung, the mind is a self-regulating system that constantly seeks balance. When an individual's outer life feels small, powerless, or devoid of meaning, the unconscious often compensates by generating a grand internal myth. This is the secret engranage of inflation. If the world treats you as nothing, your psyche may whisper that you are, in fact, everything. The sense of being chosen is often a sophisticated armor built to protect a fragile, wounded ego from the cold reality of its own perceived insignificance. But this armor is also a tomb. When you begin to inhabit the mirage of the chosen one, you are no longer operating within your own personal limits. You have tapped into the collective power of the hero archetype. This energy is vast and primordial, and the human ego is not designed to contain it. Think of it as a high-voltage current running through a household wire. For a while, the light burns brighter than ever before. You feel a surge of purpose, a magnetic charisma, and a conviction that borders on the divine. But eventually, the wire begins to melt. This is the point of archetypal possession. You are no longer using the myth is using you. The rastro of this possession is most visible in the profound isolation that follows. If you are the one, then by definition no one can truly understand you. Your relationships begin to suffer because you are no longer looking for a partner or a friend. You are looking for disciples or witnesses to your greatness. This is the main character syndrome of our modern era, a digital Espejismo, where everyone is the star of a movie that no one else is watching. We see it in the crushing anxiety of the young adult who feels like a failure because they haven't achieved world-changing status by age 25. They are not suffering from a lack of talent, but from the weight of a stolen crown. In the ancient Greek myths that Jung loved to analyze, this state was known as hubris. When Icarus flew too close to the sun, it wasn't just a physical fall, it was a psychological collapse. He believed his artificial wings, his ego's identification with the divine made him a god of the sky. He ignored the limits of his own architecture. Today, our sun is the obsession with being extraordinary. We have forgotten the dignity of the ordinary, and in doing so we have handed our souls over to a code that demands we be more than human. The abyss deepens when the chosen one faces the inevitable silence of the world. Because the archetype is eternal and the human is mortal, there will always be a moment where reality fails to live up to the myth. This is where the danger turns inward. If you are not the savior, then in the binary logic of the inflated ego, you must be the victim or the villain. The sense of destiny curdles into a sense of persecution. You begin to believe that the world is actively conspiring against your greatness. The chosen one becomes the ostracized one, and the energy that was once used for inspiration is now used to fuel a bitter, resentful isolation. This is the hidden alchemy of the shadow. The shadow of the chosen one is the eternal child, the pure eterness who refuses to submit to the boundaries of reality. This part of the psyche wants the glory without the sacrifice, the destiny without the discipline. It seeks to stay in the realm of infinite potential, where it can always be the unrecognized genius rather than the average worker. But by staying in the clouds, it loses the ability to plant anything in the earth. The engranage of personal growth is sacrificed for the espejismo of a predestined future that never arrives. Why do we cling so tightly to this dangerous rostro? Because the alternative seems unbearable. To let go of the chosen one identity feels like a death. It feels like admitting that we are just another grain of sand in the desert. But Jung would argue that it is only by dying to the myth that we can be born into the man. It is only by dismantling the grand architecture of the heroic ego that we can discover the true, humble and terrifying power of the self. As we move into the final stage of our journey, we must ask, how do we survive the collapse of our own legend? How do we find the gold in the ordinary? The descent is almost complete, but the most difficult step remains, the sacrifice of the special self for the sake of the true self. We stand now at the final threshold, where the golden light of the heroic stage has finally burned out, leaving us in the fertile darkness of the Negrado. To heal from the inflation of the chosen one archetype, we must undergo a radical psychological alchemy. This is not a process of gaining more power, but a process of strategic surrender. Jung often noted that for the soul to grow, the ego must first be brought to its knees. The chosen one must die so that the whole one can be born. This death is not a literal end, but the dismantling of a false architecture that has kept you a prisoner of your own potential. The first step in this practical alchemy is the sacrifice of the special self. You must consciously choose to drop the heavy, invisible crown and place your feet firmly in the soil of the ordinary. In our modern code of constant performance, ordinary is treated like a failure. But in the depth of the psyche, the ordinary is the only place where real life happens. To be ordinary is to be related to the rest of humanity. It is to accept that your suffering, your joy, and your limitations are not unique markers of destiny, but the common rostro of the human experience. When you stop being the one, you are finally allowed to be someone. This transition requires you to look at your out-of-control emotions and your sense of grand destiny not as commands, but as symbols. If you feel a burning need to be a savior, do not look for a world to save. Look for the abandoned child within your own shadow who is crying for your attention. The alchemy of the self involves taking that massive archetypal energy and distilling it into a small daily practice. Instead of waiting to change history, you attend to the engranage of your own character. You transform the grand mission into the small duty. It is in the way you speak to a stranger, the way you handle a mundane task, and the way you sit with your own silence that the true work of individuation is done. This is the bridge between the abyss and the light. Integration means recognizing that you are both the hero and the coward, the master and the servant. By accepting your mediocrity, you ironically unlock your true genius. You are no longer wasting energy maintaining the espejismo of perfection. You become a conduit for life rather than a monument to yourself. Jung called this the process of becoming who you truly are, not who you were destined to be, but the complex, contradictory, and beautiful human being that actually exists beneath the myth. As we conclude this descent, let the silence of the theater settle around you. The spotlights are gone. The audience of shadows has vanished. There is only the quiet, steady rhythm of your own breathing. The danger of the chosen one was never the greatness it promised, but the reality it stole from you. By letting go of the need to be extraordinary, you reclaim the right to be real. You are no longer a hostage to a predestined script. You are the author of a humble, living rostro through the world. The architecture of your soul is not a palace for a king, but a home for a human. When you walk out of this experience and back into the world of unwashed dishes and unpaid bills, do not see them as distractions from your destiny. See them as the very materials of your alchemy. The chosen one is a lonely ghost, but the integrated one is a living presence. The mirror no longer shows a hero. It shows a person vulnerable, limited, and for the first time, truly free. The descent is over. The work of living begins.